welcome to the Cherry on Top YouTube channel. I'm Jessica, and today's video is for our August YouTube Hop. This month our focus is dies, and if you leave a comment on this video as well as the other videos in the Hop, you'll be entered to win a $15 Cherry on Top gift card. So like I said, this hop is about die cutting, which I love to do. I think you can do so many different things with it, and dies are a great investment because you can use them over and over and over and in so many different ways. I love using my Sizzix Big Shot for die cutting, but there's a lot of different kinds and they usually will all work with the different dies that you buy. This die set is the Christmas Alphabet Thinlits die from Sizzix, and I've been eyeing this die up for a while because I think it is just so cool. It's very intricate, it's one of the more fussy dies, but I think it's so worth it because these letters are so fun. Right now I'm working on the E, and I thought I would start with the E because it's one of the harder ones in the set, and I knew I'd have to have an E, but this is also one of the letters that I was most excited about because I just think it's super cute, and it's a little elf. I love that you can switch the colors of this, so if you have multiple E's or other letters in your phrase or whatever you're trying to say, you just change the colors a bit. Like I'd change the color of the hat and the shirt and the shoes, and it would be a completely different elf. I found that my favorite tool for putting all of these tiny little pieces on has been a little die pick, and a lot of times these tiny pieces will just stick to the die pick and I don't really have to pick it up so much and it just kind of sticks. But other times I can spear the little piece a little bit and stick it to the end of the pick, and it's easy to pick up and move around and stick on my glue. I'm using Nouveau glue, and this is my favorite glue for a few different reasons, but one of the reasons is that even if you over glue, you don't see like a shiny mess around your glue. And that was important for all of these little pieces because there's going to be some over gluing here and there. I've been really trying to hold off on doing Christmas projects as much as I can, but it's just been getting harder and harder because we've been getting in so much really cute Christmas stuff. I am using, of course, these Christmas dies, which I think are just incredible, and then I'll also be using some pieces from Paige Evans' Sugar Plum Wishes collection, which is the paper that I have in the corner here, and I pulled out that paper to match some of my cardstock colors too that I'm die cutting, and I think it just makes it a lot easier when I first start out by picking colors of cardstock that coordinate with this, because then as I get into the die cutting I already have a pile there and I just know what colors that I'm going to use. So I tried to stick with the colors from this particular paper because I know I'm going to use this paper in my layout as well. I think this collection is so cute. I like that it's not just the traditional like really red and green, but it has some pinks and teals and light greens in there, and I think it makes it a little bit more fun, and that also goes really well with these alpha dies because they are a lot of fun as well. I'm working on these little R reindeers right now, and you can see how I make them different. They're two of the same letters, but I use different color browns, different color noses, and they look like two completely different reindeer. So I'm spelling out Merry Christmas. Here is all of the letters all spelled out, and I decided to ink up the edges a little bit. So just like how I did when grabbing coordinating cardstock, I grabbed some coordinating inks as well, and I'm using one of these detail blending tools to add a little bit of ink around the edges of everything. I'm using a mix of inks from some are Distress Oxides and then some are some Catherine Pooler inks, and I'm just going based off of what color I'm trying to do. I also thought this was important because I had some letters like the C and the A that had some white elements that I want to stand out a little bit more. so they pop up from the white background that I'll be using. And then also, like, my last S in Christmas, it's a pretty light S, so adding some ink around the edge just helps it stand out more, and also it gives it a little bit more of a mixed media look, which you'll see is what I'm going for when I start working on my background. As I continue going through this layout, I'll also be inking up ephemera like this and other pieces as well. It's just something I really like to do. It adds a little bit of something else, it gives it a little bit of outline, and I just love the look of it. For larger pieces, I use the mini ink blending tool, and you'll see that later in the video. But both I think work really well. If you've seen videos before, you know I love using blending brushes, but for this, where I just want it on the very edge, I think these blending tools work much better. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments if you think it is too early for Christmas. It seems like Christmas collections are coming out earlier and earlier each year. I know card makers typically like to have the Christmas stuff earlier so they can get working on the cards. Usually me, as more of a scrapbooker, I like to wait until I have this year's Christmas photos. But like I said, I just loved this die set and I couldn't wait any longer. So it's Christmas time. Now that all of my alphas are complete, I'm starting to work on my background. I have this white piece of cardstock, it's just regular basil cardstock, and I cut it to 11 inches and a quarter so I could have a nice border using the paper from the Sugar Plum Wishes collection as the border. Now for the background, I wanted a quick and easy mixed media look, so I pulled out some red, pink, blue, and green ink that I also used on my inking my alphas, and I am getting it really wet and splattering it on my paper. I wanted really big juicy splatters, so I'm using a thicker brush than what I normally use. This is a mop brush used for watercoloring, and I put a lot more water in than what I would typically do when I'm splattering because I wanted, like I said, those really big areas. I don't want my paint to be too much in the foreground. I wanted it to stay in the background. So after I let it sit for maybe 30 seconds, I'm dabbing it up so that it's not as vibrant and bright. And just like that, I have a really quick and easy mixed media background. Now I'm starting to lay out how I want my photo and my title. I grabbed this floral ephemera from the Sugar Plum Wishes, and I will always grab floral ephemera when a collection has it because I love florals. They also had these big white snowflakes that look die cut, but they're already done and they're sparkly, so I made sure to add some of those on my page as well. Here you can see I'm using the ink blending tool to go around the edges of my florals, and again, just like how it did on my title, it just adds a little bit more dimension and more of the look that I'm going for. I wanted to keep the alpha dies as well as the photo the main stars of this layout, so I really kept embellishing pretty light, but also with so much going on with those alphas, I don't think I needed too much, because if I added much more than what I did, I think the layout would become too busy. And I love popping up as many embellishments on foam as I can. I love the little shadow that it creates and the dimension. So I used these micro dots to pop up all of the alphas, and then I'll go through and add some foam dots on top of the flowers as well as my photo. These snowflakes I'm just gluing down because they're more of a background piece, and then when I get to the flowers, I'll pop those up on cherry dots. Our cherry dots works really well because we have little pull tabs that make applying them really quick and easy. So I put on a lot of them, and if I need a smaller size, I often just cut them in half. For these flowers that I have going behind my photo, I put the dots on the side that's outside of the photo and then glued down the back side. That way they'll still have the dimension from the dots, but it's not going to be uneven or add extra bulk behind my photo. I also popped up my photo on foam as well as my entire background before I added it to my border paper. I'm adding a few more of these die cut snowflakes here and there on the page, and when I have them tucked behind the flowers, I didn't need the whole snowflake, so I just tear them in half so I can add them in multiple places. I thought that my top right corner needed another little embellishment, so I'm inking up these holly berries and I'll stick them up there with the snowflake as well. And then that will be it for this layout. I had a lot of fun creating it. Make sure to leave a comment so you can enter to win the $15 Cherry on Top gift card, and then go check out all of the other videos in the hop as well. I hope this gave you some inspiration on using die cuts, and thanks for watching.